we're talking about the media and how it goes about coverage of tournament coverage in football, in sport in general. In general, the media, if they have a beef about something, are they hell bent to pursue that beef? Certainly when it comes to the likes of Jude Bellingham and his image and his profile playing for England, Ian Wright, who, of course, absolutely iconic player, both at club and England level, he believes there is an ulterior motive at play. On social media, Ian Wright has said about the media, they need to create this kind of beef because there's nothing else to talk about until the World Cup. So it's going to be this all the way to the World Cup. They hate that they can't get to him. That's Bellingham. They hate that they can't negatively influence his club career like they have done to so many before him. A blessed young man with talent and love in abundance. Is that really how some members of the media view the likes of Jude Bellingham? King is a big Manchester United fan, no doubt an England fan as well. King, good morning. What's your take on this?
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. Fantastic show as usual.
Thank you.
I'd like to say what Ian Wright is not willing to go as far as to say. What he's saying is this is an attack that seems to be mounted at the best players who are of mixed or black heritage. We've seen it firstly we saw it with Raheem Sterling. We saw the way the press went after him, and they succeeded. We saw the way they went after Marcus Rashford, and they have succeeded. He's gone all the way to Barcelona. And what Jude's parents have done, which is so wise, they've shielded him and shepherded his career so tightly, even his mum living with him when he was in Germany, probably now when he's in Spain, that the media cannot penetrate the force field that they've created around him. And that's what's bothering them. How can you attack a player like Jude Bellingham? He's the best. I'm a second-generation British-Jamaican property investor here in the UK. I've been here. I was born here. My parents were born here. And I've watched time after time as I support England the way this has gone. Even the likes of Ian Wright and the players of his generation who took too long to get their England call-up. Why don't we talk about that? Andy Cole, these players who it took too long. They had to almost overprove themselves before getting that England call-up. And this is what Ian Wright is not saying, and this is what we're truly dealing with. And what's going to hurt the most is when England win the World Cup, either this one or the next, and Jude Bellingham is single-handedly responsible for that, probably, what are they going to say then? And it's also, last thing I would say, this is added to the backdrop of the whole immigrant and asylum seeker, the whole issues that are going on in this country. But when you look at the England team, there is no England team without immigration. What are we talking about?
So, King, let me get this right. You're suggesting here that you're suggesting here that this media beef, if you like, that we're talking about,
yes.
Is linked to the colour of the skin of the player.
Absolutely. And
in this case, Bellingham.
Absolutely. And he thought he might have escaped it because he's mixed heritage, but he hasn't escaped it.
Yeah, but for years, members of the media went after Paul Gascoigne, and that was nothing to do with ethnicity.
Well, there's always the exception that proves the rule. One player, I've named you three in recent history that were attacked.
I'm not sure that you're right there. I mean, it's your view. I look at the reasons why players didn't get into England's sides, and Ian Wright was up against a whole raft of very talented footballers that potentially took his position. I had Andrew Johnson at Palace that couldn't get into the England side, and that had nothing to do with his ethnicity, and he was a top goal scorer in English football at the time. It comes down to necessarily who the manager wants to pick. I don't see... Ian may well have been referring to it in that respect and not have the courage to say that he thinks it's about race. I don't think the arguments about black players being tormented over the years with Saka being abused over social media, a lot of that found to be bots and a lot of that found to be outside of the UK, but notwithstanding it, still racial abuse form part of it, comes from the society and the fans. The British media, whilst not perfect, I don't think this is actually about Jude's ethnicity. I don't think that's the centre of it. I think it's a cultural thing in this country that we build our heroes up, whoever they may be, and if they get a little bit too big for themselves or bigger than what we think they should be, we start to whittle them down, whoever they are, whether they're black or whether they're white.
Harry Kane has never faced this. Other players who don't have the talent of Jude
hold on. Harry Kane last year got pulled to pieces by the British media about his performances in the Euros, that he was gone, his legs were gone, he wasn't fit, he shouldn't be in the team. They went after him, they did.
Yeah, that's based on his ability. I don't mind it being about your ability, but how's it going to be about now?
But has Harry ever given?
He's a little bit too confident. He's a little bit too petulant. Those are the words that get to use.
Well, I actually thought
have a bit of swagger, which is unfortunately that is part of our culture. We have swagger because we believe in
confidence
ourselves.
And belief is confidence and belief and swagger is not unique to one particular ethnicity. I think
but we get knocked for that.
Well, that's a stereotype that you are now advancing. The fact of the matter is that Jude last year, in my view, I think he's a brilliant young man. I thought a couple of times in interviews he was a little bit entitled. He was a little bit petulant. He was a little bit belligerent and believing that he wasn't entitled, or the England players en masse weren't entitled to be criticised. And because he is the best player, or arguably the best player, playing for the biggest football club, or arguably the biggest football club in the world, he is going to get an additional level of focus.
King, I'm going to give you the last word on this because you're speaking well. Take the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I absolutely take on board what Simon Jordan said, and I really do appreciate the time. I just wanted to open the eyes a little bit, just to have a look. Is there potentially just a potential, sometimes a little extra sauce in the food for players that are of an ethnic minority? And that's all I wanted to say. Just to open the eyes, maybe think about it. I could be wrong. I have been wrong once this year already, so I have had my quota. But you never know. You never know. I think there's a potential there that maybe the media, again, and the Marcus Rashford, as I said, and Raheem Sterling are just examples of that. But boys, thank you for taking my call. Have a lovely day, and I'm going to keep listening to the show.
Good man.
King, you're a good man. Thank you for that. Tom is a big Manchester United fan, no doubt an England fan as well. Tom, what do you think about this? Do you think that certain sections of the media have got it in for a player like Bellingham?
Hi, Jim. Hi, Simon. First of all, Simon, I think you're wonderful. Top bloke. You carry on. You're the Prime Minister. Honestly, we'd have a much better country if you were. Anyway,
you obviously don't know him, Tom, but thank you.
Jim, let's not be naive here. Come on, you know the sections in the media, and specifically not TalkSport. I think TalkSport are great, but sections of the media clearly have got it. It's actually quite uncomfortable to see sometimes. I think. Let me give you a great example, actually. The narrative on Rooney, when Rooney was, similar sort of age to Jude, 18, 19, 20, doing what he was doing at Euros. They loved his passion. They called it passion. They called it, in terms of, what Gaza had back in the day and so on and so forth. And they celebrated in terms of what Rooney did, right? But when Jude does it, it's petulance, it's childish. So you can't have both in terms of, is it either passion or is it petulance? And I think it's spun differently for different type of players. Now, obviously, eventually Rooney went to lose his sort of love that the media had for him, but naturally it is. And sometimes it's covert. I think it's covert sort of dislike to some of the players. They're successful. I think the other caller said it. Look, I'm the white male, and sometimes I see it. I see the sort of covert sort of attack on some of the black players that England has, and it's uncomfortable for us to sort of watch. I saw a media write-up the other day on Rashford only playing well because he wants to go to the World Cup. Well, what about Grealish, Foden, and the other players? They're not playing well because of the World Cup. I think we just need to be clear on if the player's playing well because he's out of an uncomfortable sort of environment.
Here's your future Prime Minister.
See, I don't know if I agree with that. We must not allow ethnicity to mean that people can't be criticised. We have to hold people by the same standards. I think Grealish has received lots of criticism over the period of years. We can name lots and lots of players that have played for England that have received...
Like how, Simon? Like how?
Well, Grealish. They've been after Grealish forever. Grealish is a playboy. Grealish is, is a show pony.
They haven't really found himself.
I've had a go at Marcus Rashford. I had a right go at him because I think he cheated for the last 2 years, the Man United fans, and I think he has been truculent and difficult. I think he has been belligerent, and I think he's gone to Barcelona and he's doing precisely what you described, but not for the reasons that you described it. I could have bet you every penny that I had that Marcus Rashford would have a good season at Barcelona precisely for the reasons that you're suggesting is about some sort of ethnicity bias. I think he went to Barcelona, was going to do well over there because he wanted to play in the World Cup in the same way that he lifted a leg to go to the last World Cup in Qatar when he hadn't lifted the leg the previous season before. I think it's got nothing to do with Marcus Rashford being black. It's got everything to do with Marcus Rashford's character.
No, again, on point on that, and I think it's a real good debate. I think the media haven't gone after Foden the way they've gone after Bellingham, Rashford. But where's Foden been for England for the last 5 tournaments? Let's be clear, he hasn't. He performs for City. In the last 2 years, he's had an off-season. But yet, the media have stayed quiet about Foden. And ultimately, of course, he's going to lift the leg, same as Rashford, in terms of going to the World Cup. Foden, he's having a good season, and is celebrating, and goes back to his pass the other day.
But it may be character. I think it's a very dangerous. It's a very uncomfortable. And people say it's because you're a white man. It's got nothing to do with my ethnicity.
No, I'm white.
I think it's a very but also
well.
with respect to you, Tom, some of the biggest virtue signalers and offended of other people are people that actually aren't in that ethnicity. Look, the bottom line is that I think it's a certain character of player. My point with Jude is I watched him last year in the Euros, and I watched the outlook. And I don't deny, I absolutely agree with the principle that the media, sections of the media, I'm guilty of saying it sometimes as well, the media, it's not all the media, sections of the media can be very divisive and designed to take people down. But I don't think at the centre of this is the fact that Jude is of mixed heritage. I think Jude was a little bit belligerent and a little bit entitled last summer. And it got up my nose a little bit because I thought to myself, hang on a second, you players, all of you, you're not beyond criticism. Harry Kane got slaughtered by me for his idiot brother representing him 2 or 3 years ago when he went out to do an interview with Gary Neville to try and engineer a move away from Tottenham Hotspur. Harry Kane got slaughtered by me last year for being no good in that England side.
But you are fair and balanced, Simon, and I said this from the start. TalkSport, I believe you've got one of the best shows on the planet because you are fair, you are balanced, and it's not you. I think the sections in the media who are covert. We saw it with Sterling. That guy said Sterling went after his car for being dirty. I mean, come on. Whose car's ever come up in the media and the press for being dirty? But yet Sterling got absolutely slaughtered for his car. Let's be clear, not his footballing ability, his car. Front page of the Sun that went after him, right? And it's covert sometimes with Bellingham, and it's covert. And we see it time and time again. The players that tend to get the most heat in the England team are of colour. And it's clear, and it's clear for everyone to see, I think. And naturally, I'm not standing here being an apologist or be raising my hand. Look, ultimately, we call things for how they are. And sometimes, like you said, they are lazy, the English media. Not all of them. Yeah. They are lazy, but also there is covert. It's covert racism there sometimes. And I think with Jude, how can you celebrate Rooney?
But that's a very bold claim, you see. Because,
but how can you celebrate Rooney in the same age, same time? For
but they
being
didn't.
Passionate?
But hold on. I remember Rooney coming off in the Euros in 2006 or 2004, shouting at the camera and getting slaughtered by the British press.
Yeah. Listen, Tom, good call all the same, and thanks for the time you've spent with us. I'll let Chris, who's a Liverpool, no doubt England fan, finish it off for me. Chris, the media apparently hate that they can't get to Bellingham. Honestly?
I reckon it rattled him, personally.
Wait, what is your take on this, though? Do you honestly think that certain sections of the media decide to isolate a player and think, right, he's next, he's going to get it? Do you honestly believe that?
No, I don't. Not for a single second. Every player... It's the nature of the beast. You know, you become a public figure. I'm sure yourselves will get some form of criticism, not from me. I love TalkSport. But, you know, you may get criticism in all walks of life. It's more magnified now because they are in the public eye 24/7. It's a build-up to a World Cup. We've just come off the finals in the Euros. You know, everyone wants to know Jude Bellingham and Jack Grealish and Ollie Watkins and all these boys. So
sure,
they're going to focus all their energy on either ruining them, which I don't understand for the life of me why they want to, or backing them up. It's on a very, very rare occasion you do get the backup, and 9 times out of 10 it's a negative story they're looking to print. But then again, how much of those stories are true?
Actually, the thing I think is that we're very guilty of in this country is we build these boys, whatever sport it is, up to superstars when then actually a lot of them are not. We build them up to standards that either societally or in their industry that they're not at. Jude Bellingham is a really good player. Don't get me wrong, and I don't want to fall the wrong side of this conversation, but I don't think he is as good a player as people are building him up to be. I didn't think that Marcus Rashford was as good a player. So what happens is you build him up to a level, and then all that can happen after that is you start to pare it back. So I think we're very guilty in this country of turning people into things that they're not, then holding them to those standards, which they weren't at in the first place, then judging them by those standards, and then pulling them down by standards that they never claimed to be at. Jude Bellingham is a brilliant footballer. He wouldn't be at Real Madrid if he wasn't. But Jude Bellingham is no Zidane. Jude Bellingham is no no top player in comparison to some of the world-class players.
You don't like it when the media build someone up just as much as you don't like it when the media, in your eyes, knock someone down.
If the only
the media can't really win.
But if you're creating a false premise, if it's a straw man argument that you're advancing, the only way it can go is one way. You turn these people into superstars. I always made the claim with Marcus Rashford that he wasn't this world beater. So when people started pulling him down and started pulling his performance to pieces, it's because it's like VAR. VAR was designed to be 100% accurate and was never going to be wrong. So of course, by those standards, people are going to pull it down, aren't they? Including the media.
You can't deny Bellingham is a superstar.
In the standards of modern day football, but he ain't no Messi, he ain't no Ronaldo, he ain't no Cruyff.
Give him time.
In this world,
he's a kid.
In this world, he is. In our world, we've now told the world that he's the best player on the planet. He's as good as anything else that's out there. He's better than anything else out there. He's a superstar.
He is.
So when he doesn't become a superstar at certain times, or he performs at a level which is more befitting of the less hyperbole that we put on him, then we won't be so judgmental.
I'll say one final thing in this, Simon. When I met him all these years ago down at the Den, after